The autumn wind in New York carried a chill that hinted winter was just around the corner. Tall skyscrapers glimmered in the twilight, casting long shadows across the busy streets. Inside one of those towers, on the top floor, sat Daniel Carter, a man everyone knew as a ruthless yet brilliant CEO to the world. Daniel had everything: a corner office with a skyline view, a fleet of cars, and the kind of wealth most people only dreamed about. But when the office doors closed, Daniel's true world was much smaller. He was a single dad to his 7-year-old daughter, Emily. She was his anchor, his reason for getting out of bed every morning. His wife had passed away during childbirth, and Daniel had raised Emily alone ever since. Despite his empire, he carried guilt for burying himself in work, for not being there enough, for sometimes feeling like he was failing her. That evening, he picked her up from ballet class. Emily skipped along the sidewalk, holding his hand, chattering about how she wanted pancakes for dinner. Daniel smiled faintly, letting her small joy warm the cracks in his heart. Then, suddenly, Emily tugged at his sleeve. "Daddy, look." Across the street, in the glow of a flickering street lamp, sat a young woman with a little boy. Their clothes were worn, their shoes torn, their faces pale with hunger. The boy clutched a cardboard sign: "We're cold and hungry." Anything helps. Daniel's instinct was to keep walking. He had meetings, responsibilities, and a daughter to feed. But Emily stopped dead in her tracks, her innocent eyes filled with tears. "Daddy, they look so hungry. Can we help them?" The words pierced him deeper than he expected. For years, Daniel had been praised for his business acumen, his charity donations, his ability to change lives with money. But none of it felt real at that moment. His daughter wasn't asking him to sign $1 million check for a foundation. She was asking him to see two human beings or really see them. Reluctantly, Daniel guided Emily across the street. The young woman looked up, startled. She couldn't have been older than 25. Her eyes carried exhaustion but also dignity, as if she hated asking for help but had no other choice. Beside her, the little boy, maybe 5 years old, buried his face in her coat. "Hi," Daniel said awkwardly. "Are you two okay?" The woman hesitated, then shook her head softly. "Were you broken bar trying? Just need something to eat." "I'm sorry." Daniel felt an uncomfortable lump in his throat. Emily, however, wasted no time. She crouched down to the boy's level. "Hi, I'm Emily. What's your name?" The boy peeked up shyly. "Liam." That one word soft and fragilely broke something inside Daniel. He had spent years closing deals worth billions, yet here was a child who barely had the courage to say his own name. "Come on," Emily said, tugging her dad's hand again. "Let's give him food." Daniel hesitated only a second before nodding. "There's a diner down the street. Come with us." The woman froze, suspicion flickering in her tired eyes. She wasn't used to kindness, but hunger outweighed fear. She nodded slowly. The diner. Inside the warm diner, the smell of pancakes and coffee filled the air. Emily slid into a booth beside Liam, chatting about cartoons as if they'd been friends forever. The woman sat across from Daniel, fidgeting with the edge of her coat. "Order anything you like," Daniel said gently. The woman's eyes watered. She ordered a simple meal: scrambled eggs, toast, and hot chocolate for Liam. Emily ordered pancakes, of course, and convinced Liam to share. As they ate, Daniel asked carefully, "What's your name?" "Claire," she whispered. Her story unfolded slowly, like pieces of a puzzle. Claire had once worked as a nurse's assistant, then her husband walked out, leaving her with debts she couldn't pay. She lost her apartment, then her job. Shelters were full, and she refused to put Liam in foster care. She was doing everything she could, but it wasn't enough. Daniel listened, and for once in his life, he had no business solution, no quick fix, just a hollow ache in his chest. The realization. When the food arrived, Liam devoured it so fast Emily giggled and pushed her plate toward him. "You can have half of mine," she said. Claire tried to stop him, but Emily shook her head. "Mommy used to say, sharing makes food taste better." Daniel froze. Emily rarely spoke about her mother. He blinked back, the sting in his eyes. In that moment, he saw what he'd been blind to for years. Kindness wasn't about grand gestures. It was about humanity, simple, raw, uncalculated. The offer. After dinner, Daniel drove them to a motel. Claire protested at first, but he insisted. "Just for tonight," he said. "You and Liam shouldn't be on the streets." As Emily hugged Liam goodnight, Daniel stepped aside with Claire. "Look," he began awkwardly, "I know this is sudden, but I could use someone like you. You were a nurse's assistant. My company's medical branch always needs reliable staff. If you're interested, I can get you an interview." Claire's eyes widened. "Why would you do that for me?" Daniel paused. The honest answer was Emily. His daughter had reminded him of something he'd forgotten: compassion. "Because everyone deserves a second chance," he said simply. The twist. Weeks turned into months. Claire proved herself at work, dedicated, skilled, compassionate. She earned her position, not through pity but through perseverance. Liam and Emily became inseparable, their laughter filling Daniel's home like sunlight through old curtains. But not everyone approved. Board members whispered that Daniel was being reckless, mixing personal life with business. Some even accused Claire of being a gold digger. One night, Daniel confronted her. "If this is too much a broken bar, if you'd rather walk away." Claire cut him off. "I don't want your money, Daniel. I just want to build a life where Liam can feel safe. That's all." Her words struck him harder than any boardroom battle. For the first time in years, Daniel felt something stir: hope, trust, even love. The climax. The real test came one snowy night. Daniel was stuck in an emergency meeting when Emily fell sick with a high fever. His phone buzzed endlessly, but he couldn't leave. Panic clawed at his chest until Claire rushed in, cradling Emily in her arms. "She'll be okay," Claire reassured, already knowing what to do. She stayed by Emily's bedside all night, cooling her forehead, whispering stories until the fever broke. Daniel returned at dawn, exhausted and guilty. He found Emily sleeping peacefully, Claire holding her hand. At that moment, he realized, Claire wasn't just saving herself or Liam, she was saving him, too. The ending. Months later, spring returned. The four of them, Daniel, Emily, Claire, and Liam, walked through Central Park, sharing ice cream cones. Emily and Liam ran ahead, their laughter echoing. Daniel glanced at Claire, gratitude filling his chest. "You've changed everything," he admitted. Claire smiled softly. "No, Daniel, Emily did. She reminded you to listen to your heart." He squeezed her hand, and for the first time in years, Daniel felt complete, not as a CEO, not as a man defined by wealth, but as a father, a partner, and a human being. The message: kindness doesn't always come from boardrooms or charity galas. Sometimes, it begins with the simple words of a child, "Daddy, they look so hungry." And sometimes, that one act of compassion can change not just a moment but an entire life.